We do believe that there is a power greater than we are in the universe, that it is using us, and that we did not come here by chance. We heard the call, we answered. In our viewing audience, you tuned in not by chance. We have a divine appointment this morning, and that divine appointment is about realizing that these are dynamic laws of the universe that are always working in our lives, whether we are consciously aware of them or not. They are always working. That's why Dr. Ernest Holmes said, trained thought is far more powerful than untrained thought. Better to know where the energy is going, rather than being at the effect of it. Rather than saying, oh, why does this always happen to me? You know, like there's some great anthropomorphic God with the long flowing white beard and the long hair. We believe God is energy, everywhere present. As within, so without. Jesus, who became the Christ, said, I of myself can do nothing. It is this Father within that does the work. It is this creative intelligence that does the work. It is this energy within me that does it. I mean, I can just see him at the foot of Lazarus' tomb, who had been pronounced dead for 3 days. And there he is, this electromagnetic energy at the foot of that tomb saying, Lazarus, come forth. 3 times he said it. And this energy arose. This energy came forth in such power, such light, that he who was dead now lives. And what I love about that sacred story and that beautiful parable is that how can we use it in our daily life? When we are feeling dead, when we feel like we have no energy, when we are feeling sick and tired and all that negative stuff, there is an energy within us that says, come forth. And as our humanness gives way to the divine, the Christ consciousness arises triumphant and victorious over all the appearances, the conditions, and the effects. And one day the Sunday school teacher said to the class, what did Jesus say to Lazarus when he was at the foot of the tomb? And little Tommy raised his hand and he said, Lazarus, come out with your hands up. I thought, he got it. He absolutely got it. Come out with your hands up. Come out with letting go and letting God do what God does best by means of you. Today our topic is on the law of positive expectations. It is done unto us as we believe in our hearts. For where our treasure is, there our heart will be also. It's all about the feelings, because positive thinking doesn't work if it is not consistent with the beliefs that you hold. If you're going through the road affirmations, oh, I'm perfect, complete, and whole, you know, and just words. Those are empty, hollow words. But when we say, I am perfect, complete, and whole, no matter what is going on with me at this moment, there is an energy and intelligence that knows exactly who I am. And when I'm not knowing it, there is an energy within me that does know it. And I also have the wonderful support of our ministry of prayer that knows the truth, because they're not subjectively involved. It's so much more real when we're in it. This is real. This is real. And then we can turn it over and we can let go and let God do what God does best. You know, I have this wonderful, wonderful hairdresser, and I always pay before I go in, before he does my hair, because I think it's a positive affirmation to pay first, because I know that he's going to do a good job. So we had this little joke between us. I always pay first because you're doing a wonderful job. And so I gave him my credit card, and it was declined. And he goes, oh, it was declined. And I said, well, run it through again. And he ran it through again, and it was declined. I said, huh, that's really odd. Well, I gave my daughter my other credit card to get me some things, so I'll just give her a call, and she can bring my card in, because we know that one's working. But this one should be working, because the payment was paid last week, but you never know. So, it'll all work out, and I'm good for it, right? So he's doing my hair. He goes, I just want to really acknowledge you. And for what? He goes, when my credit card is declined, I'm like, oh my God, I paid it, it's paid, what are they doing? They're, idiots, all of this. You're going, oh, okay, well, I have another one. I don't have it with me, but somebody can drop it by. He goes, I really want to acknowledge you. And I also want to just say that I do you at the end of the day because it really helps me in my life when I do you at the end of the day. And it was so wonderful because we have this connection. I call him, he's a fundamentalist metaphysician. He believes that we're all one, and he is a fundamentalist, but he said, I need my Jesus, I need my Jesus, I need my Jesus. And I said, well, for us, we need our Christ consciousness. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. No man, woman comes to the Father, Mother, God, except by right of their own Christ consciousness. He said me, but he knew that he of himself could do nothing. So Jesus, the man, said, I can't do it. Don't look to me. I'm not your superstar. You know, they're reaching out and they're grabbing his clothing. And he's saying, it's not me. It's the Father within that does the work. It's the creative intelligence within that does the work. Now, I watched a documentary this week, and it was called Happy. And it was a group of scientists, medical doctors, and psychiatrists that started in the 60s doing the science of happiness. They had the AMA and other very, very prominent thinkers say, this is never going to work. And they said, well, you're measuring depression. You're measuring melancholy. You're measuring when people get, you know, at their wits' end. You're measuring that. We're going to measure happiness. We're going to know there is a happiness quotient. We're going to go out and we're going to interview people. And they had wonderful interviews, and they'd say, what do you want? And the person would say, to be happy. What do you want? Well, to be happy. What do you want? And one young man, he was dressed in a three-piece suit in New York, and he goes, I want a lot of money so I can be happy. You know, it's all dependent, right, on something. But everyone they interviewed, the first thing usually out of their mouth was, I want to be happy. So they went around the world studying happiness. They went to India. There was a little man named Manoj Singh who was a rickshaw driver. You know, he carried the rickshaw with people in it. And they saw him getting up, you know, at the crack of dawn, drinking his chai tea with his children around him. And he said, I am very happy. I have my wonderful children. And when they say, Baba is here, my heart sings. I am very happy. It is very hard to be a rickshaw, to carry the rickshaw when people are drunk and abusive. And if I say anything, then they won't hire me the next day. So I do not say anything because I want to be hired. And he said, and we live in this little house. It was a lean-to. It was a lean-to, and it had like plastic over one side. This is a very nice house, and it had bamboo beds, you know, up like bunk beds, only all bamboo that they slept on. And then he says, this is a very nice house, but during the monsoons, sometimes some rain comes in, and we have to deal with it. But we are all very happy. These are my neighbors. All the neighbors were out, and they were looking wonderful and radiant, and we all really, really love each other. And they studied the energy that this is one of the lowest economic groups. But what makes them happy? It is relationships. It is love. It is the embrace. It is hearing Baba, Daddy. It's hearing the energy of loved ones all around and friendships. It's all about relationships. And then they went into Japan. They went into Tokyo, which is through all these studies, the most unhappy place on the planet. That their work schedule is so intense that they have a syndrome, and they interviewed the most beautiful Japanese woman. And she had tears in her eyes, and she had a darling baby on her lap. And they were young, and it showed pictures of her husband. And she said he was very contemplative and intense. For the weekend he would come home and he wouldn't have any energy after working, you know, only 20 hours a day. Oh, I mean, why don't you have energy? And she said on the day, that particular day he left, the little girl, she was a toddler, she ran and she got a toy and she gave it to her daddy, and he kind of smiled at her and gave her a hug and went out the door. And then they were going to put him on another shift, and he had to tell them that something they were manufacturing was not working, that it was faulty. And as he spoke with the supervisor and he began to talk, he collapsed. And his heart stopped. This is like a 35, 36-year-old man on the way to the hospital, and he passed away. And she's sitting there saying, we need to be in balance here. It's not always about earning all the money, because after World War II, they said the psychological dynamic was, let's raise ourselves up to be a power on the planet and in the industrial complex. So their schedules are like working, and it showed them on the subways. Everybody's asleep. They got their head in their lap and the paper. They're, you know, it's just absolutely, there's no energy. And then they went to the other place in Japan, in Okinawa, where people lived to be 105 as the average age. And they interviewed them. And they said, oh yes, we are very happy here, we help each other. It had a 106-year-old riding the bicycle over to like the senior center. I guess the senior centers, you gotta be 100 or more to get in, right? And they were just so sweet, and she goes, I worked very hard. She goes, I used to go to the spa, and I used to sweat a lot, but now I'm just working in the garden. This is like a 105-year-old. And interviewing all these, and the one darling lady, and she just said, oh yes, I've worked very hard all my life, and I walk every day, and I ride my bicycle, and at night, I take a little sake. It helps me sleep. And she said, the key to our long life is we sleep a lot. I thought, it's done unto you as you believe. But just like an island away, some, you know, consciousness has got it, that it's about our extended family here. It's about having each other. It's about, you know, not about economics, and it certainly wasn't. But it was about joy, which is the most infallible sign of the presence of God, according to a 5th century monk named Teilhard de Chardin. Joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. So when we put out about the law of expectation, I told you, I get up every day. I accept my good and my unexpected good. I sleep in peace, I wake in joy, and I live in the ever-present moment of now. And when I am not feeling 100%, I make a call to our director of our ministry of prayer, or someone that I know that can know the truth for me, that I'm not knowing at that moment because I'm subjectively involved. And when we are subjectively involved, energetically, it's a lot harder to do. I love what I do. I do what I love. I got a beautiful note from Reverend Mark Accomando that could not be here today because of someone in his Raleigh former ministry that transitioned, and he's going to go back and do the memorial. But it was so life-affirming and acknowledging of our ministry and the fact that every single Sunday we come together, we bring our energy together, we bring the best of who we are. We speak to the higher nature, the angels of our higher nature, and we feel the sense of community. And it really is about community. All the great thinkers, and Gary Zukav, who I absolutely think is marvelous, who wrote Seed of the Soul, said it's about the group dynamic. It's about extending ourselves one to another and being in community, because really, you are as close to God as I am ever going to get. And I am as close to God as you are ever going to get. And if I am in that place in me and you are in that place in you, there truly is only one of us. So when we look at positive expectations, putting our goals in the positive, using the sacred I am to say I am happy, healthy, prosperous, and free. Do I have challenges? Challenges come up. It's all a part of life. But to know energetically that we keep putting it out there. And you know, I love our community and the energy that's here and the opportunities that are here. And I love when I talk to Mario's of Palm Springs, who does my clothes, incidentally, and he says, my business has never been better. Energetically, that is the energy that we put out. I've never felt better. That my life is working, my relationships are working. That as I accept my good and my unexpected good, do I go to the mailbox and expect a bunch of bills? Or do I say, I accept my good and my unexpected good. oh, I wonder what the universe has for me today in the form of checks and gifts and wonderfulness. My mailman said, I love the affirmation you have on the mailbox. I use it for myself. It says, I accept my good and my unexpected good. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for the abundance that is mine. He goes, I use it. I love it. Thank you. So the energy that we're putting out in the law of positive expectation is a positive self-fulfilling prophecy. And through that positive self-fulfilling prophecy, we are opening ourselves to the riches of the universe because God is our source. Who is God? God is our source. I'm so glad you're listening. What is God? God is our source. And we are what? Going higher yet. And so it is. God bless you. I love you. Happy 11th anniversary to all of you.